everyone, it's time to dig into Madam Web, Sony's new Spider-Verse film starring Dakota Johnson. This is going to be a spoiler review because I just can't talk about this film without them. I'm also going to cover the good things in the film, and then I'll get into how this film went wrong and how they could have easily fixed the biggest problems, since I think this will help set your expectations for the movie. Before we get into it, sure to hit subscribe for more videos and give this review a thumbs up if you agree with my take on things. Madam Web is the story of Cassandra Webb. She is an orphan who grew up in foster and is emotionally damaged from the experience, but she's doing okay. She's a paramedic and she has thrown herself into her job saving people, even though she is clearly uncomfortable accepting any kind of emotional connection from others. After an incident that triggers her powers, she suddenly finds herself pitted against a supervillain who dredges up issues from her past as she seeks to protect three young women who he is trying to kill. On the surface, I really like this story. I love the characters and how they feel so authentically female in their own ways. We have Cassandra, an emotionally damaged paramedic who wants to save people because maybe nobody was there to save her. That's an interesting character twist, but it would have been good if they just connected those dots in the script. Dakota Johnson does a great job with her role as Cassandra. She has some real acting chops, making her dynamic and fun to watch on screen. The three teenage girls who she is trying to save are played by Sweeney, Isabela Merced, and Celeste O'Connor. They are all compelling teenage girls who are fun to watch, and really the girl snark is dialed in at the exact right level for what they are experiencing in the film. They all have distinct characters, even if we don't get much of their history. There is a huge part of me, and I mean huge, that makes me want to forgive so many of the frustrating story choices in this film because of what they got right with how the girls act toward each other and the way they finally kind of ease into trusting each other so that they can work together as a team to survive. This resonates so deeply with me as a woman. Those honest parts of the story shine through and are just delightful to watch. This film should have been good. Heck, it should have been great. It had so much promise and potential to be a vibrant and cool superhero story within the Spider-Verse. Instead, it feels like there were two scripts crammed together into one film. One script was all about the female superheroes' origin stories, and you could feel the female director's vision in this part of the film. And the other script was kind of like a studio checklist for what needed to happen in a superhero film, according to past films that performed well in the box office. The checklist is really obvious when you break down the film to examine the parts of the story that just feel like they don't belong in the script. You really do get the sense that the problems were aftermarket add-ons to fulfill Sony's bean counter expectations, but it shows an utter lack of understanding the heart of the story and what made it special. That's what makes us want to go to the theater and give studios our money. Think about the studio's reaction to Barbie's success. The response was, great, let's make more toy movies. I mean, literally Google it. That was their response. They don't understand films about women, women's issues, or how women just want to fit into a world with men. But more importantly, you can't just put unrealistic situations into a superhero movie that don't make logical sense and expect the audience to just go along with it, especially when your heroes are all female, because female superheroes have a history of being judged a little more harshly than male superheroes. So if you're gonna make an all-female superhero film, you must make sure that the logic and the story hold together, because everyone is going to be just a little more critical of the film right from the start. And that's based on history of other films to date. So what could have been a spectacular film has more logic holes in it than a brick of Swiss cheese, most of which seem caused by the studio making room for the checklist scenes so that they could bring in Madame Web under 2 hours. Think about it. This film was 1 hour and 57 minutes long. That timing's no accident. So let's get into the spoilers and what went wrong in this film that really could have been easily fixed before it went to filming. First, they didn't need to make every female in the film have a dead or absent parent just so that they could all disappear for over a week without having to call home. This was absolutely a checkbox item. Look, if Buffy Summers can fight vampires while having a loving relationship with her mom, or Miles Morales can fight bad guys while having a strong family structure, the writers could have managed at least one or two decent family relationships for the girls. Cassandra Webb's mother kept a detailed journal. She put everything in there except for the reason why she was looking for the spider in Peru when 8 months pregnant. That is not how a scientist or a mother trying to save her baby thinks. She would have absolutely documented why she was looking for the spider. This would have provided Sandra with a rational reason for her mother's death and why she decided to become a paramedic while keeping her emotionally damaged character trait caused by her time being in foster care. It would have eliminated several unnecessary scenes, keeping her from an unrealistic trip to Peru that is just not possible to do in a week, with an Amber Alert out for her that would have caught her at the airport. This change would have allowed the rest of the movie to play out in the same way, but with Cassandra continuing to explore her powers in New York through her mother's notebook. There should have been at least one scene to explain why or how Ezekiel was a supervillain. After all, regular, selfish bad guys are a dime a dozen in movies, and killing Cassandra's mom doesn't make him a supervillain, just makes him an idiot and a bad guy. Plus, his steps to stop the three women who kill him in his vision could be seen as self-defense, not supervillain status. So what makes him a supervillain? We should have seen him doing a heist or committing some heinous crime early in the film to establish his supervillain credentials. Either Cassandra or one of the other girls should have gotten hurt. And Cassandra dying several times and being revived several times is so very Mary Sue. One of them could have at least broken a fingernail. Instead, all three girls come through unscathed, and that's just lazy and unnecessary writing. Ezekiel could have captured one of the girls and brought her back to his lair to lure Cassandra or the others to him. She was still new at learning her powers, and he had super strength and super speed. Abducting one of the girls would have been an easy thing to do, and it would have given them the opportunity to discover the spider and maybe even getting bitten by it, having Ezekiel become the cause of his own destruction. Next, a yellow New York City cab that crashes into a diner's front door is going to have certain type of damage that will be very easy to spot. There is no way that it would have gone unnoticed while Cassandra was driving around New York City, even without the license plates. She should have ditched that cab after wiping it down, I don't know, set it on fire or something else to eliminate the DNA evidence. She could have easily had her own car to drive around after ditching the cab. It just didn't make sense. The final big fix that I would have made is eliminating the kidnapping thread because it was just unnecessary. They could have had the same exact story without that wrinkle, and removing it would have eliminated so many of the story logic issues throughout the film. Even better, eliminating it would have given the film room to stretch out into the other directions that would have bolstered the story and the characters. The only reason they had it was to give Ezekiel an opportunity to kill those cops in the subway for no reason. Realistically, the cops had Cassandra. Ezekiel, he could have let them take her away and then killed the girls easy peasy. The whole abduction storyline and cop killing scene was totally unnecessary, except that it was an easy way for the film to say, look, Ezekiel is a supervillain cop killer, which makes it a massive checkbox on the studio checklist. I mean, come on, the whole film had all these moments that just made it easy to justify this thing or that thing or the other thing, even if they didn't make sense. I mean, overall, while there were parts of the film that I really enjoyed parts, especially the female relationships, which felt spot on. Madam Web felt like a series of studio checkboxes put on the screen at the appointed time to do what the studio thought should happen in a superhero movie. This film, it had so much potential. And Sony just threw it all away, along with maybe the careers of the women involved. There were some easy fixes that could have elevated the story, eliminated some of the biggest logic gaps, and given depth to all of the characters involved, even the villain. As a result, while there are some fun moments that I truly loved in the film, I think most people will leave the theater feeling unsatisfied and disappointed, and for good reason. So that's my hot take on Madam Web, and this review is harsher than I would usually do. In fact, I usually wouldn't do a review if I were this annoyed with a film because I don't like to diminish the work of creators, and especially creators who are women and actors who are women and stories about women. But, you know, as a female reviewer, I think it's important to share my perspective with the studio about films that are specifically targeting women. And, you know, I'm in that audience too, and the studio needs to hear our voices. We deserve better. We deserve good storylines. We deserve stories that make sense. We deserve superheroes that are exactly what we saw on the screen, but with good logical problems that they solve with their smarts and intelligence, and they're not just Mary Sue's running through the theater. You know, it's so frustrating. This movie could have been so much better. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am too close to the story. I don't know. So I would actually really love to know what you think. Did you like it? What resonated for you? Where did it go wrong? Definitely let me know. All right, that's all I have for now, guys. Stay tuned for more reviews and be sure to hit subscribe to get more videos. And give this review a thumbs up if you agree with my take on things. Heck, give this review a thumbs up even if you don't. The algorithm for YouTube is such a beast that it is really hard to get past some of those algorithm standards. So I would love it if you just like the heck out of this video so that the algorithm would share it a little more widely, because I do think it's really important to have the female perspective on female superhero films that are written and filmed taking the easy way out. You know, the male view on this is really important too, but there are so many guys out there sharing their view and there aren't as many women. So please do share my video, like it, spread the word. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your time. I love having you here, and I definitely want to hear from you in the comments. So that's it for now. I'll see you again soon. Happy viewing. All right. Bye, everybody.